Hi, everyone. I'm Noah.
And I'm Lila. It's so nice to have you here with us again.
Lila, imagine it's Monday morning.
Okay.
You walk into the meeting room with your laptop in one hand and a cup of coffee in the other. Everyone is already there. Your manager, your teammates, someone is quietly typing, someone is flipping through their notebook. The projector is on. The meeting begins. Everything feels normal until your manager suddenly looks at you and says, "So, what do you think?" 5 seconds. That's all it was. But somehow, it felt longer than my entire weekend.
Oh no, I already feel nervous. Please don't tell me this actually happened.
It absolutely did. The room became completely silent. My manager looked at me. My coworkers looked at me. Someone slowly closed their laptop. Even the coffee machine outside suddenly sounded louder. And my brain? My brain had the perfect answer.
But your mouth had completely different plans?
Exactly. Inside my head, I was giving the greatest presentation of my life. Meanwhile, my mouth was like, so, I mean, well, you know, it was a disaster.
I know that feeling way too well. It's almost magical. 5 seconds before that, your idea makes perfect sense. Then someone asks, "What do you think?" And suddenly your vocabulary packs its suitcase, waves goodbye, and goes on vacation.
Seriously, where does it even go? You've been using English all week. You practiced. You watched English podcasts. You even practiced your answer in the shower. Then, nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Mine was even worse once.
Really? Now I have to hear this.
It was an online meeting, about 20 people on Zoom. Everyone was muted. My manager smiled and said, "Lila, we'd love to hear your opinion." I finally found the courage to speak. I smiled confidently, opened my mouth, and said, "I completely agree. The only problem? I didn't agree at all." I was so nervous, my brain clicked the wrong sentence.
Oh no, that's painful.
I know. Then I had to spend the next 2 minutes explaining why I actually disagreed. It was so awkward.
And that's what happens to so many of us. Sometimes we stay completely silent. Sometimes we talk way too much. We keep explaining, adding details, going in circles, hoping that somewhere in the middle, our main point magically appears.
Exactly. Instead of one clear sentence, we somehow tell the entire history of the idea. So, last month, actually before that, maybe if 2 minutes later, we still haven't answered the question.
Meanwhile, everyone else is probably thinking, so, what exactly is the suggestion?
And then the meeting ends. You're walking back to your desk or closing your laptop, and suddenly the perfect sentence appears. You think, "Oh, that's what I should have said."
Every single time. You know what's frustrating?
What?
People sometimes think we're quiet because we don't have ideas. But that's usually not true. Our ideas are moving so fast. Our words simply can't catch up.
Wow, I've never thought about it like that. And honestly, for years I blamed my English. I kept thinking, if I learn more vocabulary, if my grammar becomes perfect, then I'll finally sound confident.
I believed exactly the same thing. But here's what surprised me. The problem wasn't vocabulary. It wasn't pronunciation. And most of the time, it wasn't even English.
Really? Then what was it?
I was trying to think, translate, check my grammar, choose impressive words, avoid mistakes, and speak, all at the exact same time. No wonder my brain froze.
That actually makes so much sense. It's like trying to answer 5 different questions with one mouth.
Exactly. And here's the good news. Even native English speakers lose their train of thought. They ramble, they forget words, they stop halfway through a sentence and say, "Wait, that's not what I meant." It happens to everyone.
That's honestly comforting. Sometimes English learners imagine native speakers walking into every meeting sounding like professional speakers.
Not even close. I've sat through meetings where someone talked for 10 straight minutes, using lots of fancy business words, and somehow, nobody knew what they were actually trying to say.
We've all met that person. You leave the meeting thinking, they definitely said something. I just have no idea what it was.
Exactly. Because speaking clearly isn't about using more words. Most of the time, it's about using fewer, but choosing them well.
I like that. So maybe our goal isn't to sound smarter. Maybe it's simply to make our ideas easier to understand.
That's exactly what today's episode is about. Not memorizing hundreds of business words, not sounding like a corporate robot, but learning how to organize your thoughts. So when someone asks, "So, what do you think?" you'll finally know exactly how to answer.
So grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and let's discover why speaking clearly at work has much less to do with knowing more English and much more to do with organizing your thoughts before your words. So, why does this happen? I mean, why can I explain my idea perfectly to myself, but the moment someone asks me to say it out loud, everything becomes a mess?
That's a great question. And for a long time, I thought the answer was simple. My English isn't good enough. But eventually, I realized something. My English wasn't the first problem. My brain was.
Wow, poor brain. It came here today just to get blamed.
Hear me out. Imagine your brain is like a busy office.
Mm-hmm.
One employee is translating, another is checking grammar, another is choosing better vocabulary. Someone else is worrying about your pronunciation. And another person keeps shouting, "Don't make a mistake! No, wait! Smile! Speak professionally! Don't sound nervous!" It's complete chaos.
No wonder nobody gets any work done. It's like 5 coworkers trying to use the same computer at once.
Right? And the funny thing is, while all of that is happening, your manager is still waiting for an answer.
Meanwhile, your face is trying very hard to look calm. Inside your head, it's just office panic.
Relatable. Here's what used to happen to me. My manager would ask, "Noah, what's your opinion?" First, I'd think of my answer in my native language. Then I'd translate it into English. Then I'd wonder, should I say because or since? Should I use suggest or recommend? Wait, is that grammar correct? Oh no. What if this sounds stupid? By that point, someone else had already started talking.
Ouch. That one hurts because it's true. Sometimes we don't lose our chance to speak, we accidentally give it away.
I know, right? Not because we didn't have an idea, because we were trying to build the perfect sentence.
I used to do something different. I'd start talking before I was ready. Have you ever done that?
Oh, many times.
I'd say, "So, I think," and then my brain would whisper, "Great, now figure out the rest."
That's risky. It's like jumping off a cliff and hoping your parachute appears on the way down.
Exactly. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes I landed in a very awkward silence.
And here's another interesting thing. Have you noticed that we often hesitate, Not because we don't know English, but because we're trying to sound impressive.
Oh, that's a good point. Instead of saying, I think this idea is faster, we start searching for something like, I believe this approach may potentially improve our operational efficiency.
Exactly. By the time we've found that sentence, the meeting has already moved on.
And honestly, most coworkers would probably prefer the first one anyway. It's shorter, it's clearer, and everyone understands it immediately.
That's something I learned the hard way. Professional doesn't always mean complicated. Actually, some of the most respected people I've worked with used very simple English, but they knew exactly what they wanted to say.
That's interesting. So, confidence isn't about using bigger words. It's about expressing one idea clearly.
Well said. And there's another trap. Have you ever started explaining something, then halfway through forgotten what your original point was?
Don't expose me like that. Yes, I'll be explaining, then suddenly I'm thinking, wait, why did I start telling this story?
We've all been there. That's usually because we skipped one important step. We never stop to clarify our own idea first. If our own brain isn't clear, our listener won't be either.
So, before we explain something to someone else, we need to explain it to ourselves first.
Yep. And here's a little experiment for everyone listening. The next time someone asks for your opinion, don't rush. Take one small pause. Just one. Not because you've forgotten the answer, but because you're giving your brain 1 second to organize it. Believe it or not, that tiny pause often makes you sound more confident, not less.
That's true. When someone answers immediately, they sometimes ramble. But when someone pauses for just a moment, then speaks clearly, it feels calm, professional, like they know where they're going.
Exactly. People aren't judging you because you paused. They're listening to whether your idea makes sense. Those are two very different things.
I like that. So maybe we don't need faster English. Maybe we just need calmer English.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Because one clear sentence will almost always help your team more than 5 perfect sentences that never leave your head.
That's worth remembering. One clear sentence beats 5 perfect ones every single time.
And once you realize that, speaking in meetings starts feeling much less like an English test and much more like a conversation. But there's still one big question. How do you actually organize your thoughts so they come out in the right order instead of all at once? That's exactly what we're going to explore next.
Okay, so now you've got me curious. If overthinking is the problem, what do we actually do instead? Because tomorrow morning, my manager isn't going to say, "Take your time, Lila. Organize your thoughts for 5 minutes." He's going to ask, "So, what do you think?" And I need an answer.
Fair enough. Can I show you something that completely changed the way I speak in meetings?
Please, I'm ready.
Imagine every idea is like the front page of a newspaper.
A newspaper? I wasn't expecting that.
Stay with me. When you look at a newspaper, what do you notice first?
The headline.
Exactly. Not paragraph number 4, not every tiny detail. The headline. It tells you the main idea in one sentence. That's exactly how I started speaking in meetings.
Wait, so instead of thinking, how do I explain everything? I should first ask, what's my headline?
That's it. Actually, I even gave it a name. I call it the headline method.
That sounds much cooler than my brain is panicking method.
Much catchier, too. It's incredibly simple. 3 steps. Headline, why, example. That's it. No complicated formulas.
Okay, let's see if I can do it. Imagine we're in a meeting. Our website is a little slow. I might say, so I was looking at everything yesterday, and maybe, if we have enough time, because some customers mentioned a few things, I don't know, perhaps we could... Oh dear, I already lost myself.
See? You started building the house before laying the foundation. Let's try again. What's your headline?
Our website needs to load faster.
Perfect. That's your headline. Now, why?
Because customers are leaving before the page finishes loading.
Great. Now give me one example.
Last month's report showed that more people left the website after the latest update.
Exactly. Headline, why, example. You express the same idea, but this time, everyone knows exactly where you're going.
Wow, that actually feels easier. And I didn't have to search for fancy vocabulary.
Because meetings aren't English exams, people aren't waiting for beautiful grammar. They're waiting for useful ideas.
Can we try another one? I think I need more practice.
Absolutely. So, you're in marketing. Your manager asks, any suggestions for next month's campaign? Go.
Okay. My suggestion is to focus more on short videos because they're getting more engagement. For example, our last 3 short videos reached twice as many people.
Nice. That sounded natural. You even used the word suggestion. Very professional.
Ooh, look at me. Corporate Lila has arrived.
Let's make it harder. You're an engineer. Your team wants to release a new feature tomorrow.
I'd recommend waiting 1 more week because we still need more testing. The last update created several unexpected bugs.
Perfect. You used recommend. That's another great workplace word. Notice something?
What?
You weren't trying to sound smart. You were trying to be helpful. There's a huge difference.
Oh, I like that. Helpful people usually sound confident. People trying too hard to sound intelligent often sound nervous.
Exactly. Let's do one more. Imagine you're a teacher. The school wants to change the class schedule. What's your proposal?
My proposal is to move the speaking class to the morning because students have more energy then. For example, they participate much more in the first lesson than the last one.
Beautiful. Now let's try a remote meeting. Those are always fun.
Oh no, not the awkward Zoom meetings.
Your manager asks, what should be our priority this week?
Our priority should be finishing the customer support system because several clients are still waiting for replies. For example, we received over 50 unanswered messages yesterday.
Excellent. See how quickly that came out?
Yeah, because I wasn't trying to invent the perfect sentence anymore. I was just answering 3 simple questions. What's my idea? Why? Can I give one example?
Exactly. And here's something funny. Most people think speaking clearly means talking longer. But in reality, good communicators usually finish sooner.
Which means everyone secretly likes them more. Because the meeting ends on time.
That's probably true. Nobody has ever complained. You know what this meeting needed? Another 20-minute explanation.
Never.
So the next time someone asks, what do you think? Don't search for the perfect paragraph. Just remember 3 small steps. Headline. Why? Example. Simple enough to remember, powerful enough to use in your very next meeting.
And honestly, I think tomorrow's Lila is going to be very thankful that today's Lila learned this. You know, there's something I just realized.
What is it?
Back when I first started working in English, I thought sounding professional meant sounding complicated.
Oh, I know exactly where this is going.
Seriously, I'd spend 5 minutes trying to build the longest sentence possible. I thought, the longer my sentence, the smarter I'll sound.
And did it work?
Not even a little. Halfway through, I'd forget where my own sentence was going.
You're definitely not the only one. I used to do something very similar. I'd never say, I think we should wait. No, I'd say something like, I would potentially like to suggest that perhaps we should consider waiting before making a final decision. By the time I finished, I wasn't even sure what I was trying to say anymore.
Exactly. It's like wrapping one tiny idea inside 15 layers of bubble wrap.
That's a great way to describe it. The idea is still in there, but now everyone has to work really hard to find it.
So why do we do that? Why do English learners make simple ideas so complicated?
Honestly, because we think complicated English sounds intelligent. But here's something interesting. The people who impressed me the most at work weren't the people using the biggest words. They were the people everyone understood immediately.
Really?
Absolutely. One of my former managers hardly ever used difficult vocabulary. He'd walk into a meeting and simply say, "Our priority is helping the customer. We have 2 problems. Let's solve the first one today." That was it. Short, clear, direct. And everyone knew exactly what to do.
Now that you mention it, the best managers I've worked with spoke like that too. They didn't sound like dictionaries. They sounded calm.
See? That's something people often misunderstand. Confidence has a sound. And surprisingly, it's usually simple.
Wait, confidence has a sound?
I think so. Listen to these 2 sentences. I would potentially like to recommend exploring another possible solution. Or, I think we should try another solution. Which one sounds more confident?
Definitely the second one. It sounds like the speaker actually believes what they're saying.
Exactly. Simple doesn't sound weak. Simple sounds certain.
Wow, that's interesting. Because I used to think simple English made me sound like a beginner.
A lot of learners believe that. But in business, being concise is often more valuable than sounding impressive.
Concise. I like that word. So, being concise means saying exactly what you need without adding lots of extra words?
Exactly. Think about emails. Would you rather receive a 3-page email explaining one idea or 3 clear sentences?
3 sentences, always, especially on Monday morning.
Exactly. Meetings are the same. People are busy. They don't need more words. They need more clarity.
You know, this reminds me of something funny. One day I spent almost 2 minutes explaining an idea. When I finally stopped talking, my coworker smiled and said, "So, you're recommending we move the deadline?" I looked at him and said, "Yes." He explained my own idea in 1 sentence.
That's happened to me too. You spend forever explaining, and then someone summarizes everything in 10 seconds. Part of you is impressed, and part of you is thinking, why didn't I just say that?
Exactly. I wish that coworker could hide inside my pocket during every meeting.
Honestly, after enough meetings, I started asking myself one question before I spoke. If someone had to summarize my idea in 1 sentence, what would they say? Then, I simply started with that sentence.
Oh, that's clever. So instead of making people search for your point, you give it to them first.
Exactly. That's what professional communication really is. Being clear, being direct, helping people understand your idea quickly, not making them work to understand you.
I think that's such a relief for English learners because it means we don't have to sound like university professors. We just have to make sense.
Well said. And here's something worth remembering. People rarely leave a meeting saying, "Wow, that person knew such difficult vocabulary." But they do remember the person who explained a complicated problem in a simple way. That's real confidence.
I love that. Maybe sounding professional isn't about using bigger words. Maybe it's about making other people's jobs easier.
I couldn't agree more. And once you stop trying to sound smart, something interesting happens. You actually start sounding much more confident. Because confidence isn't hidden inside complicated sentences. It's hidden inside clear ones.
Can I confess something?
Always.
Speaking in meetings is scary. But do you know what's even scarier?
What?
Disagreeing. Especially when your boss is the one talking.
Oh, that's a completely different level of fear. Inside your head, you're thinking, I have another idea. But your face is saying, I support absolutely everything.
Exactly. Sometimes I nod so much, I accidentally agree with ideas I don't even understand.
We've all been there. The funny thing is, many people think there are only two choices. Option 1, stay completely silent. Option 2, say, that's the worst idea I've ever heard. Please don't choose option 2.
Unless you're planning to look for a new job tomorrow.
Exactly. Luckily, there's a much better way. You don't have to attack the person. You just help improve the idea.
I like that. It's not me versus you. It's both of us versus the problem.
Yes. Let's imagine something. You're talking to a coworker. She says, I think we should launch the project this Friday. Would you say, that's wrong?
Definitely not.
Me neither. Instead, I'd probably say, I see your point. What if we gave the team one more week to test everything? See? I'm not rejecting the idea. I'm adding to the conversation.
That sounds so much friendlier. It's like opening a door instead of closing it.
That's the point. Let's make it a little harder. Now imagine your manager says, we should reduce customer support hours. What would you do?
I wouldn't want to sound rude. Maybe I'd say, my only concern is whether our customers will still get quick responses.
Perfect. I love that phrase. My only concern is. It sounds calm, professional, and it focuses on the problem, not the person.
Instead of saying, you're wrong, I'm saying, here's something we should think about.
Perfect. And believe it or not, most managers actually appreciate that. Good leaders don't want people who agree with everything. They want people who notice problems early.
That makes me feel a lot better. Sometimes I forget that disagreeing respectfully can actually help the team.
Absolutely. Now let's try another situation. A coworker finishes explaining an idea, but you honestly don't understand it. What do?
Pretend I understood, then secretly hope someone else asks?
That used to be my strategy too, but it usually ended badly, because 5 minutes later, everyone was discussing something, and I still had no idea what was happening.
I know, right? Then you're too embarrassed to ask, so you just keep smiling and quietly panic.
Instead, try something much simpler. I'm sorry, could you clarify that? Or, just to make sure I understood, are you saying?
I wasn't listening. It sounds like I want to understand correctly.
Yes, people usually appreciate that. And here's another useful phrase. Could we also consider? I use this one all the time. Imagine someone says, let's spend all of our budget on advertising. You could say, that's an interesting idea. Could we also consider investing more in customer support? See, you're introducing another option, not starting an argument.
I love how soft that sounds. It feels like teamwork, not competition.
Yep. And honestly, that's what most meetings are supposed to be. A group of people trying to solve one problem together, not trying to win against each other.
You know, I think that's one of the biggest misunderstandings. People think confident communicators always have the loudest voice. But actually, the strongest communicators often make everyone else feel comfortable speaking too.
That's beautifully said. And here's something I wish someone had told me years ago. Disagreeing politely doesn't make you difficult. It makes you valuable. Because you're helping the team see something they might have missed.
I like that. So next time I disagree, I don't have to think, how do I prove I'm right? I can think, how do I help us find a better answer?
Exactly. And somehow, that tiny change in mindset makes choosing the right English words much easier. Because you're no longer trying to win. You're trying to understand and to be understood.
You know, there's one thing I keep thinking about.
What's that?
For years, I believed confident people spoke first, and nervous people stayed quiet. But now, I'm not so sure anymore.
Neither am I. Because after all these meetings, I've realized something. Confidence doesn't usually come before speaking. It comes after.
Can you explain that?
Think back to the very beginning of today's episode. Monday morning, the meeting room, the coffee, the silence. My manager looked at me and asked, "So, what do you think?"
I remember. You completely froze.
I did. And honestly, that wasn't the last time. People sometimes imagine that after one good meeting, you suddenly become fearless forever. I wish it worked like that.
Me too. That would have saved me a lot of stress.
A few weeks later, I walked into another meeting. Same company, same meeting room, even the same coffee mug. And eventually, it happened again. My manager looked at me, smiled, and asked, "So, what do you think?" You know what?
What?
My heart was still racing. My hands were still a little nervous. For a second, my brain still wanted to panic.
So, what changed?
Not my English, not my vocabulary, not even my confidence. I simply remembered something. Headline, why, example, just 3 small steps. So, instead of trying to build the perfect speech, I took one quiet breath, I paused, then I said, "I think we should wait one more week before launching. Several customers are still reporting bugs, and yesterday's testing found 3 more. That was it.
That's all?
That's all. Nobody clapped. Nobody stood up. Nobody said, 'Wow, Noah, that was the greatest sentence in business history.'"
That would have been a little dramatic.
Exactly. Do you know what actually happened?
What?
People nodded. One coworker said, "That makes sense." Another person added another idea. Then, the meeting continued.
That's kind of beautiful. Because the world didn't stop. Nobody laughed. Nobody judged your grammar. Everyone simply kept solving the problem together.
That's the point. And that's when something finally clicked. The meeting wasn't about me. It never was. It was about the project, the customers, the team. I had spent years thinking, how do I sound? When the better question was, how can I help?
Wow. I think that's something a lot of English learners need to hear. Sometimes we're carrying so much pressure that we forget everyone else is just trying to do their job too.
Right? And here's another thing. Have you ever walked out of a meeting and remembered every single sentence another person said?
Honestly, no. Usually I only remember the main ideas.
Me too. People don't remember every word. They remember whether they understood you. That's why one clear sentence is often enough.
And honestly, everyone rambles sometimes. I've heard experienced managers lose their train of thought. I've heard native English speakers stop in the middle of a sentence and say, "Wait, I forgot where I was going."
Me too. It's surprisingly common. The difference isn't that confident people never get stuck. The difference is they don't panic when it happens. They smile, take a breath, and keep going.
I love that. It means making a mistake isn't the end of the conversation. It's just part of the conversation.
Yep, every meeting is practice. Every question you answer makes the next one a little easier. Every brave sentence you speak today becomes a little more confidence tomorrow. Not overnight, not instantly, just little by little.
Kind of like learning English itself. You don't suddenly wake up fluent one morning. You slowly become the person who isn't afraid to speak anymore.
Well said. And maybe that's the real goal. Not perfect English. Not perfect meetings. Just becoming someone who's willing to share one more idea than they shared yesterday.
I think that's a wonderful goal. Because sometimes one sentence can change a meeting. One meeting can change how people see you. And sometimes one small moment of courage can change how you see yourself.
I couldn't agree more. And that's why, the next time someone looks at you and asks, "So, what do you think?" Don't wait until you feel completely confident. Take one breath. Remember your headline. Share one clear idea. Then, let the conversation continue. Because confidence rarely arrives before you speak. More often, it quietly walks in after you do.
Yep.
You know, before we finish today's conversation, I'd like to go back to where we started.
The meeting?
Yes. Monday morning. The meeting room. A cup of coffee on the table. My coworker's waiting. My manager looks at me and asks, "So, what do you think?" At the beginning of today's episode, that question felt terrifying. It felt like a test. Like every word had to be perfect.
But now, it feels a little different, doesn't it?
It really does. Because today, I don't hear that question as, "Can you speak perfect English?" I hear it as, "Would you like to help us solve this problem?" Somehow, that changes everything.
I love that. The question never changed, only the way you looked at it.
Exactly. For a long time, I believed confidence came before speaking. I thought, one day, I'll learn enough vocabulary. I'll fix all my grammar mistakes. I'll stop feeling nervous. And then, I'll finally start sharing my ideas.
But that's not what happened.
No. Confidence came after speaking, not after perfect grammar.
Not after memorizing thousands of new words.
Not after sounding like a business expert.
It came after raising my hand one more time.
After sharing one more idea.
After realizing that I didn't have to be perfect to be useful.
Yep.
And I think that's something every English learner needs to hear. Because your coworkers aren't waiting for the perfect speaker. They're waiting for another perspective. Maybe your perspective.
That's true. If your idea can help the team, don't hide it behind fear.
If you have a question, ask it.
If something isn't clear, say so.
If you see a better solution, share it.
You never know which small idea might solve a very big problem.
And if your voice shakes a little, that's okay. If you pause for a second, that's okay too. If you lose your train of thought, take a breath, smile, and keep going. We've all been there.
Even the people who seem incredibly confident, even native speakers, even experienced managers, nobody says the perfect thing every single time. That's not the goal.
No. The goal is to communicate, to contribute, to help. You know, I think my favorite lesson from today is actually a very simple one. Clear ideas matter more than complicated sentences.
Mine is this: meetings aren't performances. They're conversations. You're not there to impress everyone. You're there to move the work forward, one idea at a time.
That's a wonderful way to think about it.
So, the next time someone looks at you and asks, "What do you think?" don't search for the perfect sentence. Take one breath. Remember your headline. Share one clear idea. And trust that your voice belongs in the room.
Because someone in that meeting might be waiting for exactly the idea that only you can share.
So, thank you so much for spending this time with us today. We hope this conversation helps your next meeting feel a little less stressful and a little more like what it really is. Remember, people working together to solve a problem.
And if today's episode reminded you of a meeting that made you laugh, or maybe one that made you want to disappear under the table, tell us about it in the comments. We genuinely love to hear your story.
We definitely would. Until next time, take care of your English, take care of your confidence, and most importantly, don't be afraid to let your ideas be heard.
We'll see you in the next conversation. Bye, everyone.
Bye.